Hey geniuses, Sean here for Digital Genius Radio. Super excited you're here for this episode. This one's a special one. We have a super special guest genius with us. Her name is Marley Baird. I do a pretty fantastic job of introducing her in the next segment, and we're going to jump into that in just a second. But the message today is very simple, okay? She's going to talk about making an impact and creating a profit with your video resources. Enjoy it. Welcome to Digital Genius Radio, the #1 podcast focused on guiding you to becoming a certified digital genius. We believe you can have it all by mastering social media paid advertising. We spent the last 3 years studying the most brilliant marketers today and applying their techniques. We've broken free of the 9-to-5 and successfully built a 7-figure online certification platform. From working with hundreds of clients, we found that most are overwhelmed or scared to actually dive into paid advertising. And this podcast is here to give you the cheat codes so you can flourish with your social media channels. Join us and follow along as we continue to learn, apply, and share proven strategies, as well as give you the insights on how to win online with social media paid advertising. And now, here's your hosts, Chris Baden and Sean Malone. And now it's time for the main event, the one thing that I've been waiting for all night. This young lady comes straight out of Canada. She's with us. Her name is Marley Baird. And she's an expert, right? Like we met her through the Inner Circle ClickFunnels, and I'm so grateful to meet her. I actually fell in love with her shoes. She can tell you that story later. It's a big, long story. But she decided to go figure out how to turn an audience into autopilot, how to take your tribe or the people that you're finding and produce videos and visualizing, stimulating content that's specifically written and targeted to people to bring them along on the journey. And Marley has become such an expert. She's gotten filmed she's doing work with some of the top people in the industry, including like 2 weeks ago, she was at LinkedIn. She's doing speaking events. Last year, she traveled 200 days out of 365. She's on the road. Like, this girl is a straight street hustler, and she's a definite boss. I'm so excited to have Marley Baird on. She's going to come talk a little bit about how to master YouTube. Marley, thank you so much for being here.
Ooh, thank you so much for having me. I love seeing everyone so engaged and the comments going crazy. So guys, please, I love Q&A. I love answering questions. So the more engaged you are, the more energy that keeps giving me too. So if you have questions at any time, like type them in the chat. I'm so happy to keep answering. And I'm actually going to start by answering a question that I saw earlier. Someone wanted to know what is the quote on my felt board, and it is, when we push the edges of our limits expand. Good one, right? I like it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So guys, I want to share with you some value about YouTube and generating leads from YouTube. And I first want to start by sharing with you some of the pros and cons and my story and how I got to where I am. I heard that a lot of you guys are very active on Facebook, doing lots of Facebook Lives. Is that right? Who's doing that? Comment, yes, shaking heads, perfect, awesome. So I want to tell you that everything that I'm teaching you today is not to replace what you're doing, it's to enhance what you're doing. Someone that I met recently was hearing about our strategy and they're like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't want to switch platforms. It's not about switching platforms, it's about enhancing what you're doing. Because what happens when you post something on Facebook or Instagram or even your Instagram stories or those Facebook Lives, what happens to them? How long do they last? It doesn't last too long. Takes maybe, and like depending on how engaging they are, a couple days, sometimes even hours, it goes meow, and then just kind of gets lost in the algorithm. But the amazing thing is that with YouTube, it's the exact opposite. It snowballs and you're able to build momentum and see that content last. You have longevity with it. And do you know why that is because YouTube is not a social media platform. It is a search engine. What is it? I did this on the speaking engagement I did with Chris Baden, and I did that so many times that they were like, they're a search engine. So guys, I'm going to really hammer that in your head today, that YouTube is a search engine, not just a social media platform, because when you understand that and can utilize YouTube as a search engine, that's how you're going to be able to have that longevity with your impact and your profit. And I also want to talk with you today about creating content that's impact driven and profit focused. Because I get a lot of people that come to me and they'll say, oh, I'm going to do this content multiplier formula. And I understand it, and that's so great. I love Peng Joon, if you've ever followed him and his platform and what he teaches. But what I also want to add to that is that you don't just want to create content for the sake of content, that we don't want to compete with the mundane and mediocre messaging and just be adding to the noise and not making an impact. We don't want you making noise without making the impact first. Everything you create is impact driven and profit focused, okay? So that's the foundation of everything that we are doing. So I want to talk with you about how to generate leads from YouTube, how to beat the noisemakers, the egos, the influencers of today, and show you how to get that message heard on a massive scale, how to ethically steal traffic from the talking heads, and change the lives that you're meant to change. Does that sound good to you? That sounds like you want to learn more? Oh, I like that! Yeah! So awesome. Because how many of you have been scrolling through Instagram or Facebook and you see some influencer who will allow them some grace and keep them unnamed, but you see that they have like all these comments and people like raving on their comments and they're like, oh, I love this person and I want that course. And you look at that and you're like, my message is better than that. My content is better than that. I'm smarter than them, or at least better looking. So how do I get this kind of content? Like, how do I get this reaction to my content? Because the way that I used to do it was I would spend one entire day to film one video. And that's a lot of time. I have a lot of things to do. I have a business, I have a family, like I want to be able to live my life. But if you're spending an entire day filming one video and then you post it and like it doesn't go viral, that you just spent all that time for nothing, that feels pretty defeating. And then so a lot of people think, well, what I'm going to do next is I'll just do Facebook Live and pray that someone other than my mom shows up. Or I'm going to just put out a ton of content on YouTube and dominate, but you just become king of the crickets. And so the problem with thinking I'll just keep doing Facebook Live and pray is that you just keep adding to the noise, which is exactly what we don't want to do. We're creating content for the sake of content and competing with the other mundane and mediocre messaging. And that's not what we want to do, because you deserve better and your audience also needs it, right? We don't want anyone other than our mom showing up. Wayne and I were talking about that once on a Facebook Live, which I want to tell you, the Facebook Lives are still great. I still do them. That's how you nurture your audience. But you have the foundation of the lead generating videos as well, and then driving people to that foundation too. So Wayne and I were on, Wayne is my husband. If you saw him, if you were here at the beginning, he came in and said hi. We were talking about this exact strategy and why Facebook Live and pray is not the best strategy, and having no strategy is kind of a strategy, and we all do it and we all fail at it. So we're talking about this, and then Wayne's mom showed up on our Facebook Live, and we were like, oh, thanks for adding to the point here, Mom, thank you. We did have some other people, so at least we were able to talk with other people other than my husband's mom. So to share a little bit more about my story, I used to film one video in one day, and I'd post it on YouTube and hope that like something would come of it, and absolutely nothing came of it. And so I'd go next weekend and think, okay, on Sunday, filming day, I'm gonna film another video, and this one's gonna be great. Maybe I just needed to like have better lighting or whatever. And again, post it, and crickets. I still wasn't famous. I still didn't have people knocking on my door wanting to work with me, and only had a few views. So then what did I do? I looked at the influencers, the noisemakers, the people who had tons of raving fans and followers and comments and all the jazz, and thought, okay, what are they doing that I need to do? And so I watched and I looked at their flash in the pan, kind of exciting, look at me, I'm on a Lambo and I'm on the beach with my laptop with no internet, and then thought, okay, how do I compete with this? And so what I did was the exact opposite. I created a method that doesn't compete with a whole bunch of views from Siberia or the Middle East, and doesn't boil down to spam links or emojis in your comments. You guys get that? Like, we want something more than that. We want the people that are commenting that are like, this changed my life. This is everything that I needed to hear. And actually getting people that are impacted and then want to follow you and become part of the movement. So that's my biggest thing, is when people say like, let's just create a whole bunch of content, what's the point of that? Unless it's creating the impact and the profit that we want to do. Is this going to, this is like going to marketing church. Woo, can I get an amen? What is it? It's a what? It's a search engine. That's right. Woo. Cool. Yeah, I'm so happy to. Are there questions here already? Congruency, engagement, YouTube. Okay, I'll get back to that for sure. So, what I want to teach you today is about the 4 pillars that we have in the Baird method so that your content is impactful, that it's making a difference, that it's making the impact. Because I want every single person here to make an unheard of amount of money, and not so that you can buy Lambos and take selfies on the hood of it, but so that you can be the person that you're meant to be and change the people's lives that you're meant to change and make that impact and make that profit so that you can then go in and reinvest it. Because when you make the impact with the idea of profit, you're then able to reinvest it, make more impact, which then in a cyclical motion, what happens? More and more and more. Be that person, change those lives.
Hey, Marley, where can we find you online?
My website is marleybairdmedia.com. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/marleybairdmedia. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram. We have some really cool things coming out with a case study of how we implement absolutely everything for our clients, and that's going to be absolutely free. So go to my website, go find that, go check it out.
Thanks for listening to Digital Genius Radio. We'd love it if you could share our podcast with 3 others that you think could get some value from it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and remember, hit that notifications button so we can alert you for each new episode that comes out. You're on your way. You've gained knowledge and you've gotten smarter. You're becoming a certified digital genius. To continue on the right path, go to challenge.digitalgeniusradio.com and prove you have what it takes. Again, that's challenge.digitalgeniusradio.com. Enter your name and email and get started becoming a master of your own destiny.